Welcome to the Trying to Be Better podcast with Joel and Steve.
I hit the button. The lady said it. We're live, Joel.
It's all happening. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Trying to Be Better with Joel and Steve podcast.
Hi.
I'm Joel.
I'm Steve.
And,
I don't know why, but I just stifled my laugh. You made me self-conscious last week.
You kind of like,
There.
I don't know.
that was
laugh,
forced. That was even forced.
The laugh is part of it, dude, because Matt made that fan art about your laugh and Jeff Bridges' laugh. You can't hold,
And
don't hold that back.
Up to tonight, like
Yeah.
it's just happened naturally. And tonight, and now I was thinking about it. So now I don't know. I think we should just quit.
No, dude, you got to laugh. We're going to get you to laugh that Jeff Bridges laugh.
Okay, all right. Well, see,
now
now it's going to be a forced thing. It's got to happen organically, man. It'll happen again. It's fine. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Don't ever hold back your laugh. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Toot your hooter, Steve.
I'm going to toot my hooter. Okay.
All right.
Now, speaking of, though, apparently we have like a copyright conflict.
Yeah, we need to reach out to this Instagram account that is...
It's for Woodsy the Owl. And his motto
Woodsy
is
the Owl.
hashtag toot your hooter.
Did they put the hashtag in there?
Yeah. That's the title of the post.
Oh, my God.
See what I'm saying? So either we're in trouble or he's in trouble.
So it's Woodsy the Owl's birthday. And it says, as regional forester of Region 7, he wants to remind everyone to toot your hooter on pollution, lend a hand, care for the land, give a hoot, don't pollute.
So now
I'm all for that.
All for it.
But I feel like
I think we should let him use the hashtag. Out of a sense of
partner with, if we could get, let's try to get Woodsy the Owl on, and then we'll also try to get what's the other one? The
Smokey the Bear.
Yeah, Smokey the Bear. We'll get Smokey the Bear and Woodsy the Owl on.
We'll have a panel.
To your hooter. Oh my God. Give a hoot, don't pollute, everybody. You can find us on the old Instagrams at Trying to Be Better Podcast. You can also email the show.
TTBB podcast at gmail.com.
Steve is so good at that. Please.
I just want to be like Armando, man.
His voice is so
buttery,
so
buttery
oh
smooth. I know.
Yeah. Armando McLean, who was on recently 2 weeks ago, he recorded an intro for us. That's him at the top of the episode. Steve, you have to use that forever now.
It's fine. I intend to.
Good.
Well, good.
I think we did all the things.
Yeah, I think so. Let's get on to our very wonderful guest.
We have an amazing guest tonight who is a professional actor. She is a dear friend of mine from graduate school, yet another CalArts alum that was with me in grad school. We're just plucking all the CalArts pals.
Sure.
But my dear friend Anne Yatco is here, and she's been doing a lot of really cool things in the world of voiceover acting. But she's just all around an amazing, amazing human being. So will you please give a big TTBB welcome to Anne Yatco.
Hi, Anne.
Hi. Oh, it's so nice to be here.
It's such a joy to have you, because like we were just saying before we hit record that you and I haven't really connected since. I mean, we chat here and there on social media. Maybe we texted a few times, but
you guys came to California. It was a couple of years ago now, and that was the last time I saw you guys.
Yeah, that was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago or more.
Yeah,
maybe
Time
less.
flies.
Yeah, and so it's just good to get. This is a great excuse to get to talk to you. So I'm really glad you're.
I know. Yeah, no, I'm super pumped.
What you okay? We're just gonna dive right in because why not?
Do it.
Where I think I know some of the answers to these questions, but for the sake of our audience, where do you hail from? Where did you grow up, and what was significant about your early formative years?
Okay. Well, I was born in Phoenix. My parents are both Filipino, and my father he's a project engineer, or he retired a few years ago, project engineer for a big company called Bechtel Power Corporation.
I know Bechtel.
Yeah, they would send him all over the place to work on these power plants. So he was a startup engineer for power plants. And for the first like 7 or 8 years of my life, we moved around a lot. So he'd probably spend a year working on a power plant, and then we moved to a new place. So I've lived in Phoenix. Where do we move to? Georgia. I've lived in Miami. I lived also a second place in Florida that was close to my dad worked at the Kennedy Space Center for a year.
Cool.
Pennsylvania. I did that out of order, but that's fine. And and then we moved to Illinois. And then when we moved to Illinois, my dad started getting jobs that were like off the school year. So I was in 3rd grade and my brother was in kindergarten. Yeah. And he started getting jobs that were 6 months, 9 months, 15 months. And so like it never quite coincided. So my mom and dad decided to keep us in Morris. We would use it as a hub. And my dad would go off to these jobs across the country and eventually like internationally. And he would just come home whenever he could. So if for example, he was working in Kentucky or like, where's another place he worked? Like North Carolina, he'd try to like drive home like once a month or once every other month so that we could, spend a good weekend together. And then we'd spend all of our school holidays with him wherever he was. So like I got to go to Kentucky or North Carolina. My dad worked in England for a year. So I got to go to England when I was like in the 8th grade. When I was in high school, he worked in the Philippines for a year. So I got to go to the Philippines when I was 16, which was like a big deal, like going to see, the place where my family is from. And then I haven't been back since, which is fine. But, all of that kind of like had a huge impact on me growing up because for the most part, we were a 2-parent household, but functionally a 1-parent household for much of the year. But, my parents did such a good job of like making sure that my dad was like still in our life. Like he would call home every night. So we would always at least have to give him the rundown of the day at the end of the day and just say hello so that, it was never like, oh, dad just lives so far away. No, he's checking in all the time. But yeah, it was just my parents, me and my brother in this small town in Illinois.
So you kind of landed in Illinois.
Yeah.
How old are you? You said 3rd grade, 4th grade?
Yeah. So I was like 8 years old when we moved to Illinois. And then we stayed there. We haven't.
What was the town?
It's called Morris. It's a small town called Morris, Illinois. It's about an hour and some change of drive, outside of Chicago. We're like just southwest of the southwest suburbs, if you will.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Southwest of the Southwest.
Yes. But yeah, so like, I went to grade school and high school in Morris, Illinois. Good place to grow up, quiet town. Oddly enough, this town had two or three other Filipino families, oddly enough. So we had like a little community that we had there, plus like all the friends we had growing up. But, I went to, I forgot what the prompt was, but I'm just going to keep going. I went to Marquette University.
We're just hanging on your every word, Anne.
I love it.
Right.
I'll just keep going. I went to Marquette University and I graduated with a degree in biomedical engineering.
I'm glad you got into that because I remember like our first year of grad school, it'd be like, yeah, I studied theater. So, or, like I think Andy Acetis had been working for a few years before going to grad school. And you were like, I studied biomedical engineering, and it was like the record scratch. We're all like, what? So talk to us about that, please.
Yeah. So, graduating from high school, I was an honor student. I graduated salutatorian, and the plan was to be pre-med and go to medical school and become a doctor. That's like, I feel like every Asian parent's dream, right? And I was more than happy to do that. That seemed like the right thing to do. But at the same time, I took singing lessons all throughout my childhood. I took piano lessons. I was in speech team, drama club. I did the school musical. So like I was performing all throughout high school, grade school and high school. And when I got to Marquette's campus, like the first week on campus, I was like, oh, I want to see what plays they've got going on. So I literally like walked down to the theater and I'm just like looking around, trying to get like information about what play might be happening that I can go watch. And some senior comes up to me, excuse me, and he just like flat out just asks me, if I would be in his senior thesis play, because he was doing Oedipus Rex. Mark Burgess was doing Oedipus Rex, and he just needed 2 girls to come in at the very end of the play to play Antigone and Ismene and cry on Oedipus's lap as he right before he exiles himself, right? Mm-hmm. And so I said, sure, what's the rehearsal schedule like? And so it was like these like late night rehearsals. So I just bring my like calculus homework or my physics homework or whatever to the green room, you know, while they're rehearsing the play. And then, you know, when it was my turn, we'd go on for the one scene and that was it. But like I met my best friend on that play because she played the other daughter, Carolyn Flanagan. And you know, and that started my love of theater at Marquette. And then I just kept going back, and then I kept getting cast in plays. And eventually my teachers said, you should go to grad school.
So were you taking acting classes too?
So I took I took all the acting classes, and I also took like theater history, play analysis. I worked in the costume shop. That was my work study. Mm-hmm. I worked in the costume shop for my last couple of years of school. So like I was very, very active in the theater program. I just couldn't graduate with the degree because I wasn't going to join a whole second college. Right. Like there's a whole set of core classes that don't line up with the core classes for engineering at all.
Right.
So I did all that, which is crazy to think like how much time I spent doing that and not my own homework. But
but somehow you got the degree.
Somehow I got the degree. I graduated cum laude. So like I did something right.
Seems to have worked out.
It worked out okay.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So what was your reaction when these professors were like, you should go to grad school and study more? Were you like, are you nuts? Did it seem like the next indicated right action?
Well, I was kind of like at a crossroads, right? Because senior year, it's like, if you're pre-med, you're thinking about the MCAT. Or if you're an engineering student, you're thinking about, I should be getting an internship and thinking about getting employment right after college. And like, none of that sounded fun to me. None of that sounded like right. Like I was at that point, just kind of going through the motions to get this degree done. And then Phyllis Ravel, God rest her soul, says, you should go to grad school, do the URTAS. So I did the University/Resident Theater Association.
I did the same thing when I had to do the acronym with Armando. I was like, I think it's association. Yeah.
Association.
Well, I had to ask what it was. So I'm glad I actually knew what that was, Anne.
Hey.
Good.
But yeah, for anyone who didn't listen to Armando's podcast episode, the URTAS is like this collection of like 30 something colleges and or like resident theaters. Mm-hmm. So we're talking like regional theaters or summer stock, that kind of a thing, that send representatives out to big cities like San Francisco, Chicago, New York. I think that was it. Yep. And people would like go to one of these cities, they'd sign up for the audition, and you do one audition for all 30 universities. Yeah, so like for the cost conscious, consumer, that seems like a great idea.
A lot of bang for your buck.
Exactly. And also at the same time that weekend, there like a lot of the other like Ivy League or like notable universities also sent representatives out to do their own auditions. So like Yale had one, or NYC had one.
Juilliard, I think,
had one. Yeah. So like my friend did the Juilliard audition. He ended up going to Juilliard. I auditioned through the URTAS, and I also did NYC. But CalArts was my first interview after the audition. And I had to leave to go back to Milwaukee for rehearsal that night. I could only go to two interviews.
Oh, wow. I don't think I know this.
Yeah, I could only go to 2 interviews. So I interviewed with Marissa from CalArts, and then I forgot the name of the representative from the University of Montana.
Oh, wow. Yep.
And then I had to like just leave my headshots with the other like 4 or 5 representatives who, wanted to interview me. But thank God that Marissa was my first one, because, we totally vibed instantly. Right. And like we did like an exercise. We just chatted about like what I was interested in. She like laid out like CalArts is very experimental. We're going to do like these things. And I said, that sounds completely different from everything I've ever done. I'm very interested in whatever that is. And then I got in.
Yeah. That's I just remember, the exercise that it was in my audition, it was Nataki and Marissa, and they're like, can you do your monologue, but could you kneel on the floor and open your arms
That's what I did.
like close your eyes and see a white light and then do your monologue and then tell us what you feel? And I was like, yeah, this sounds great. Yeah,
that's exactly what I did. And
I think they were just testing to see if we were even willing to do something that weird.
Exactly. And I remember being like, this seems weird, but also like I'm feeling things.
Yeah,
this is cool.
yeah, that's so great. So how was, I mean, I'm just curious. I don't know that I know this, but was your family pretty excited about this shift in path for you? Were they very supportive? Were they skeptical?
They were very skeptical. I wouldn't say like they were mad at me because I got the degree. Like I kept telling them like, hey, I have this degree. I can always use it. And I ended up using it.
Right.
And so my parents were like, okay, but are you sure you want to go into debt? Because, you know, you leave CalArts with like $100,000 in debt.
Sure do.
Sure do. And I said, you know, there's this thing called student loans. People do it all the time. I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently I was confident enough that it left them okay to send me off. And when I went to CalArts my first year, like I found like a Filipino woman off of Craigslist who was renting a room. So that made them feel a lot better about like driving me out there. To leave me with a Filipino person, you know, like it feels okay. At least she's not like going off with a complete stranger.
Right. That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah.
When Joel said that you were gonna do the show tonight, he kind of apologized for like front loading all these CalArts people. and I'm like, no. Like, I don't. The only thing I know about CalArts is from Joel and now some of the people that have been on the podcast. But it just sounds like an amazing, wonderful place. Weird and wild, and really kind of on the edge of a lot of things. And so, the more that I get to hear, the better. So, and I think for a lot of people that listen to this podcast, it's interesting stuff. So.
Maybe they'll give us...
really talking to Joel when I say no need to apologize.
Okay, good, because I can get really nerdy about it because it was very formative.
Yes, same.
But maybe if we push them enough, they'll give us a discount on our loans back or something. Maybe they'll
yeah, keep dreaming, dude.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
I just remember what's it?
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, no, like first day at CalArts, like we had that big all school meeting with the dean at the time, Eric N, who I love so much. And I remember he started talking and I was like, I only know every like fifth word you're talking about, but I want to be here. Yeah.
I remember hearing him speak about performance and speak about the school and just, the possibility that, like Armando mentioned, like, make art, make it in the hallways, make it in the rafters, make it on the lawn, like make performance, now's your time. And it, I had a really scary week leading up to starting school. I was like, I got this weird call or letter from the financial aid office saying, hey, we don't have all of your loans approved and all this stuff. And I remember a good friend of mine, Brandon, being like, we were sitting in a meeting on Friday night and he's like, well, worst case scenario is you're back here at the same place a week from now. Like if they tell you to go, like you'll be right back here. You'll be okay. So I'm like, okay. I went out there with like a hope and a prayer and had to like beg for extra money because I was like kind of broke. And so that whole week was like, I was staying in the dorm, but I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get to stay here.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody knew that, but I got all of my shit figured out at like that day, and then we had to be at that meeting.
Oh wow!
And so to hear him talk like that, and then to meet all you guys, and then to I don't know, there was probably some sort of social, and that's where I saw Brett Walden, who I went to undergrad with, who was a year ahead of us, and he tackled me on the lawn, and it was like I instantly went from I don't know that I'm going to be here to I'm home, So it was like this great introduction. So when you mentioned Eric's first all school meeting, I was like, oh yeah, I was really in this spot where I'm like, I think I'm in love with this place, but I don't think I can stay. Like I wasn't sure I was going to get to stay. So
that's a gnarly spot to be in.
Yeah.
Like you're like so close and yet so far, kind of.
Yeah, I'm like, this is like, my dream school to be at right now. And I can already tell that it's the vibe that I want to have, but I may not get to stay. And then it was like ironed out that day.
Dang.
So did you guys start school at the same time at CalArts, like same class,
Yep.
same year, your classmates?
Yeah.
Mhm.
How
Yeah, we
did you two meet? Just like in a class?
Well, I remember meeting, I met Joy Winans first. She
Yeah.
was the first person I got to know. And I met Will.
Mm.
And then Jackie, I found out Jackie was in our year and she was smoking. Jackie, who is, she passed away the summer between our first and second year.
Mhm. She was the first person I met.
Jackie was?
Yeah.
I just remember meeting Jackie and then really kind of getting attached to Jackie because she smoked. So that her and I were just out smoking a lot,
That's right. Yeah.
So you met Jackie first?
She was the first person in our class that I met, and I remember being like, "Oh, this gal is so cool." Okay, we're gonna be okay here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I miss Jackie.
Me too.
I just got really wistful. I was like, I wish I could have Jackie on. Oof. Yeah, those were really important days though, because we were all kind of like, what are we about to sign up for? What are we about to do?
Mm-hmm.
But we're all like, we were tighter than I think a lot of other classes. I think I heard
so
things
too.
like the class ahead of us like gave us shit because we would go everywhere together. We'd go to eat together. We'd hang out. We'd party together. Like we were really tight.
Yeah.
I think
awesome
Marissa
unit.
even said something about it. She was like, you guys are too friendly or something. What do you remember from that first year? What do you remember from, I guess maybe what do you remember from your time there? I mean, is there a way to even put that?
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you quantify all that? Like for me, because I didn't have like a formal like theater background. I spent the entire time just like soaking up as much as I could, just like, and I took as many, I think I remember taking extra classes. I took as many classes as I could, like even like outside of our métier, just to be like immersing myself in stuff. I think I just remember like all that like incremental growth, like Fran Bennett, who passed away very recently. She was our voice teacher, and she was a taskmaster. Yeah, she was kind of a frightening woman, but like in like the coolest way. And
I recently described her to somebody. I said she scared the crap out of me in the best way.
Yeah.
Like I got scolded by her once. Were you there for that?
I don't think so.
I showed up late to her class because I agreed to do this student film in the morning before our voice class. And they kept me longer than they said they would. So I had to be late. So I just missed I was like, well, I'd rather just miss the whole class than show up late. So, but I showed up after all of you were walking out and you were all like, hey, where were you? Where were you? And I was like, uh-oh, I'm in deep shit. And Fran was like, I said, yeah, I did the student film, blah, blah, blah. And she said, whatever you could have learned in that student film couldn't compare to 10 minutes in my class. Like she was just like, boom, like, yeah. Fran Bennett, we love you. She passed away just the other day, actually.
I saw a number of tributes to her on social media through these channels, and that seems like a pretty big loss. So my condolences.
She affected everybody in the acting program there. Like, I mean, there was not anybody that I don't think we all had to take while we were there, had to take.
Yeah. Everyone had to take voice with her.
What do you, as a voice, I mean, I'm totally fast forwarding, but now I'm curious if we're talking about Fran,
Let's do it.
As a voice actor now, booking a lot of gigs as a voice actor, I kind of feel like I saw the formation of your voice acting work in Denise Woods's class as well.
Oh, in speech. Yeah.
Yeah. But what have you gleaned from that you still utilize in your work today?
I mean, I still do. I've cobbled together for myself like a good like 5-10 minute warm up that I can do using all the stuff that we learned, touch, touching the pool of vibration.
Yeah, baby.
Vocalization, like all that stuff, scales, runs, all that stuff. I've basically like synthesized all the things I've learned over the years and like put together for myself what works to get me from morning froggy voice to, okay, I'm ready to make weird sounds with my voices.
And that's something you can count on, right? I mean, you do that. The training has served you. Even if your agent was like, hey, we need you to record something today or like now, you could, you have the tools at your disposal. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so thankful for that from CalArts. Yeah.
Yeah. Good training.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Steve.
Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I am curious about this voiceover work that you do.
Oh, sure.
How did I guess that start coming up? What was your career trajectory post CalArts? Because that was, a little while ago to today.
Oh yeah. Joel, it's what year is it?
Right now, I think it's 2021, although I can't believe that.
I know.
And
we've known each other
2009.
Yeah.
So
I've known you since 2006. That's 15 years, man.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
That's kind of mind blowing.
I know.
You said that you ended up using your biology degree later.
Yes.
So how did that work out?
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's see. CalArts, there was like a little bit of a dip into like voiceover stuff in our senior year, in our third year with Denise Woods, our speech teacher, because she's also a voice actress. And so like she kind of was teaching us some of the techniques, getting us like dipping our toes in terms of like commercial work. So like that kind of started like my interest in voiceover stuff.
Sure.
Kind of put that away for a while. Then leaving CalArts, I got my equity card right off the bat because I did this show. I did this production of Medea starring Annette Bening.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And they it was a joint production between CalArts and UCLA where they took women from both programs to make up the Greek chorus in the play. So we got to do this professional play, got our equity cards, professional pay with like Annette Bening and like some like really like world-class actors.
Is the equity card, is that like a union card?
Yeah, it's the union card for theater.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And then realized, oh, okay, now I have to like make money to like survive so that I can do theater in LA, which most of it is like 99 seat theater, which is okay with equity, but it doesn't pay much of anything at all.
I was going to say, did having the card right away hurt you or did you feel like it limited you from more gigs?
No, especially because in LA, most things for the longest time have been 99 seat theater.
Right.
In which case you could be both equity and non-equity to be in a play.
What is 99 seat theater, like a cutoff?
It's like a special agreement, that says if you have 99 seats or fewer in your house, you can operate under this special like set of rules.
Sure. Okay.
And hire both union and non-union actors. And I don't honestly at this moment can't remember like what the current status is on all of that because I haven't. Well, it's been a couple years since I've done any theater, so
yeah, right. We've all been out of it for a bit.
Anyway, let's see. So I did that and then realized I needed to start making money to pay back my loans, which were going to start going into effect. So I decided to rely on my engineering degree. And I kid you not, I found a job on Craigslist that wasn't a scam. And it was as a forensic scientist. And I did that for like 7.5 years. So to preface this, it's not like CSI, what I did specifically. I classified it as doing accident reconstruction. So imagine you got into a car accident. So say you rear-ended the car in front of you in traffic, right?
I don't have to imagine that. I can relive it.
Right.
Sorry.
So yes, no. So can I? So you get out of your car, you take your pictures, you change your insurance information, and then you report it, and then it usually goes away, right? They take care of it, money gets exchanged as necessary, and you go on with your lives. But sometimes the person who was hit is hurt or says they got hurt. And now they want money. So then your insurance company goes to you and says, oh, well, now we are going to have to go into, discussions with them about like, how much are we going to pay for their medical bills? And then if it's not enough, then they will sue you for the money for their medical bills. And then now it goes not just through insurance company, but through lawyers who are attached to the insurance company. And now it's a lawsuit. And now one of those lawyers, either your lawyer or their lawyer, would hire an expert witness, like my boss, my former boss, to take a look at the evidence, do some math, do some science,
Sprinkle some science
sprinkle
on
some
it.
science on it. No, yeah, taking a look at, especially with car accidents, like you look at the evidence, you've got the car, you've got the crush damage, you've got all this information that you can glean from it. And then, there's formulas and there's ways to kind of get to an idea of like, how did the accident happen? How much force? What direction was the force being applied? And then you look at the person. What are they saying is happening? What do their medical records look like? Biomechanically, and this is where I come in, does it look like that injury is consistent with the forces at play that you have also calculated regarding the accident? Or
now,
maybe
when
there's
you get down to this level, it does sound like CSI to me. It
a
sounds
little
a
bit,
bit.
yeah.
Like
But there's
the
like no
music starts, the
blood
lighting.
spatter. There's no
Okay,
no
yeah,
bullets being shot through like some sort of like agar. No.
no like weird one-liners at the end, and then the Who
Yeah.
starts playing.
There was
nothing like
a
that?
severe lack of quips, I have to say.
Dang it.
It
Although
was
our classmate
Yes.
Deanna Reasonover is on NCIS right now. We should have her on.
Yes.
We should have you and her on to like. Is this really true? Do they do it
That
well?
would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, Deanna is amazing.
Yeah,
I
she's
love her.
great. Yeah, it'll just be the tour to CalArts pretty soon here, Steve. Sorry about
Might
it.
as well.
We'll just
Go for the
change
full
the name
set.
of the podcast. I'll just be here drinking my bubbly.
So
Yeah.
so you did that work for several
7
years, and
yeah.
it kind of paid the bills for a while, right?
It paid the bills for a while. And at the same time, I was doing theater. So I was doing a lot of like 99-seat theater,
Mhm.
making connections out here. I took some voiceover classes. I cut my demos for commercial and like a character demo reel.
Mhm.
And I booked like booked like my first video games. They
Mhm.
were like these like online MMORPGs that were like from Korea, but like they were looking for, English actors to do the dub for it. And I like
Mhm.
they cast me, and then they would send me more casting listings, and I would
So-
like get cast every once in a while for that.
Is that through an agent? Is that through
Nope,
like
this
a
was all by
clearinghouse?
myself.
How did
All by
you
myself.
how did you think, I want to do voice dub over for Korean video games? How does that come to your
Yeah,
I
how do you
found-
find that?
Yeah.
On LA. So for acting, like actors in LA, there are some like casting websites where you can sign up for it. You put all of your information and your headshots in, and then they send you you can look at the database of casting calls based on like what's out there. And
Sure.
I found that casting call and I submitted, and then they then they liked me and they hired me. Which is cool.
Sure.
So I did that. And then one of those video games kept coming up every once in a while because they'd be like, oh, we have new content. And one of your characters is in it. We'd like you to come in and record those new lines. And they were jumping around studios here and there. And then at some point they ended up at this one studio called Sliced Bread, which is over on the West Side in LA. And I did my like lines for whatever, but the director there must have really liked me because he then put me on a list where he sent me auditions for other projects that they had coming through their studio. And then I got cast in a few more things. And then eventually they asked me to, then at one time they just asked me to come in and do additional voices on an anime. And I was like, oh, anime. I remember anime I watched Sailor Moon when I was a kid.
Sailor Moon. Yeah.
I watched Dragon Ball Z. I know the animes. Like I did like a couple of like additional voices, and that was my first time dubbing. So like I got to learn on the fly like how to dub.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of like timing. It's a lot of just like being able to do multiple things at once.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you're dubbing an anime, do you do that live? Do they just kind of let it roll and you have your translation or whatever, or do you do it like sentence by sentence by sentence, or how does that work?
Every studio works a little bit differently, but generally it's like you take it like sentence by sentence or little chunk by little chunk, right?
Sure.
And the way most studios that I've worked with have done it is like, okay, they'll preview what the scene is about or what the line or couple of lines are about. And then you kind of have to do a very quick thing where you're like, okay, who's my character? What are they doing? Why are they saying it? Also take stock of like, how long did they speak? Were there any like weird mouth flap things where they have to like stop talking in the middle? And usually in the translation script, there's like little markings that they make to help you kind of like to help guide you through that.
Sure.
Yeah. So you take stock of all that after watching the preview. Then they say, okay, now take one. And then they'll beep you in. So you'll hear the original Japanese beep, beep, beep. And then they drop out the Japanese and then you lay in your dialogue in there. And then they'll do a little futzing around because, it's impossible to get it like exact, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
but you're trying to get it in that slot generally, then if it's great, then it's great. And if not, you'll redo it, or they might have to rewrite the line to make it fit better, fit the picture better.
Oh.
Yeah. And then rinse and repeat for the rest of the episode.
I'm very curious. This is kind of an inside baseball question, but
yeah,
do they give you the entire script? Or do they just give you the text that's yours to say for that particular moment? You get to kind of know that's what I would want.
It depends. It honestly depends on the studio and kind of like how their workflow is doing for that thing. Like, so I've been working a lot with Studiopolis lately. That's the studio that did the dubbing for Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'm working on To Your Eternity with them right now. And another show. But they give me, because we're doing it all remotely, like they'll send me the full script, like in advance. And so like when I'm in my session, because I record from home mostly, I can pull up my script and I have the entire script so I can see the context of all the lines. And then we'll just keep going line through line through line. But sometimes some studios, if for whatever reason, they'll just send me just a PDF that has only my lines. Right. And like no context. And so I'm just relying on what I can see inside the preview to help give me context, or I'll ask the director, okay, what are we talking about here? And then, they'll describe it and all that stuff. But yeah.
So
and
you were kind of booking your own stuff. And then, so this
I was booking out my own stuff for
the director
years.
Sort of was kind of being kind of a makeshift agent for you, sending you all these gigs.
Yeah, the gigs that go through their studio specifically.
Right.
So it was like he was acting as his own casting director.
There you go. And then how did you land an agent then? Because of all this work?
Yeah. So oddly enough, that same director, Bob Buckles, God bless him, he hired me to do additional voices on the Final Fantasy VII remake video game.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were on that game.
Yeah, dude. I'm like
playing that game right now.
Are you?
Finally.
Okay, so I'm like 15 women in section 8 right after the explosion.
Yes.
And then
just those as you were walking around,
as you're walking around, you hear voices. I'm 15 of those women. And then there's like I don't remember what part of the game this is, but there is a quest at some point where you're trying to find a bunch of children from an orphanage. Like they're just like hanging around town, and like you're just supposed to kind of like round them up, and then the kids ask you to do something for them. And I'm 2 of those kids that you have to find.
Okay.
A boy and a girl.
Cool.
I have to ask, are you familiar with the show Haikyuu?
I am familiar with it. I have not yet watched it,
but
I know it's super popular.
That's my like I watched that with my daughters. And the first 2 seasons of that are on Netflix and they're dubbed.
Yeah.
And then all the after is on this Verve or VRV network. And so those are subtitled, but we listen to them in Japanese. And so that's been, I mean, I can do subtitles. It's not a big deal, but like, it's been good for my kids to do that. And it's been really interesting. And so just hearing you talk about the dub process, I have kind of a little bit of a frame of reference to that because that's very current in my life right now.
Totally.
But I like, they watch Haikyuu and My Hero Academia.
Oh, I love My Hero Academia.
Yeah. I haven't gotten into that yet because I'm trying to finish Haikyuu and then we're going to get into My Hero Academia. But like, I love Haikyuu. I love those characters and I love the art and I love the stories. And it's one of those things my first reaction is like, no, I'm not, I'm out, I'm 50 years old. I'm not watching this. And then I got sucked into it and I'm like, I just love them all so much.
Yeah.
So it's one of those like good, like that's a good sports anime. Yeah.
And that's they're also watching like a thing called Free, I think, which is about
the swimming one. Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, you guys can watch Free. I'm gonna go do something I want to do, But yeah, that's a whole sports anime. That's a whole world of entertainment that I'm now aware exists, I guess.
Totally.
And frankly, I like I said, I'm not gonna get all the way into it, but I really enjoy Haikyuu, and I think it's great.
Yeah, there's Netflix has really, really like gone like down the rabbit hole in terms of like picking up anime left and right. So there's a whole bunch that you could like at least try an episode or two of.
Sure. Well, I imagine
a lot that I'm in.
I imagine for Netflix, that's a pretty good investment.
Yeah, I think so.
So, and you got to tell me, like, I don't know. I mean, you said Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. That's about where my anime understanding left off.
Yeah.
Besides a few other, longer films, but what are some of the you started booking stuff?
Yeah.
Obviously the video game work is great, but that's kind of feast or famine. But like you've been making sort of a career out of characters in episodic anime, right?
Yeah, which has been a blessing. So to go back, I did Final Fantasy VII Remake, and then from there, I got a recommendation from someone I met on that project to my agent. Like they just directly recommended me to who is now my agent over at Fox. And then after signing with Fox, I was able to start getting access to so many more auditions from so many more studios. And that like opened it up for me.
Yeah.
It took a little while. Like I think I signed with them in like October of 2019. And then like I started really booking more consistently probably around April or May, and then it just snowballed from there. And then around October of 2020 I booked Jujutsu Kaisen, which is this anime that's it's on Crunchyroll, and it is one of the coolest things I've ever done. Like that's like the first show. It was the first anime where I was like one of the like main lead characters. So I could really take them through like the whole arc. And it was also the first show I'd ever done that was a simuldub. So when you do, so up until then, I had only done anime that were for Netflix, that were like bought up by Netflix. And usually what happens with Netflix is their model is they put all the episodes out at once, typically. Right. And so similarly, like working up to it, they'll dub all the episodes in a whole batch and then give it over to Netflix. So I'm like just doing it all at once. And so I would never be able to like watch anything beforehand because it hadn't come out. Right. Yeah. So a lot of times like you're walking in blind and you don't know what it is you're working on exactly. And you're just, again, context clues. Context clues are so important. In voiceover. But with Crunchyroll shows and Funimation shows are like this too. A lot of them are simuldubs, which means that the episodes are coming out in the sub version, in the original Japanese, and then like maybe there's just like a 4 or 5 week or 6 week delay before the dub comes out. And so for Jujutsu Kaisen, I could watch like the first few episodes even before I did my audition to give me an idea of like, what is this really about? And that really informed like my audition. And then even throughout the process, because I loved the show and I've now read the manga, I'm all caught up and I'm a huge fan of it. I would watch ahead so I knew what was happening before I had to walk in the studio, or walk into my closet, frankly.
Maybe this might be a silly question, but regarding like emotion and like you're talking about your cues for voiceover, do you find that that's just as important in voiceover as it would be like working on a stage or in a movie, like to have to know what the character is, what their motive is, what they're thinking, what their backstory is? That's all still very much a part of it.
100%. Absolutely. And then like also, and then there's also the added technicality of like trying to match match things physically. And then also trying to not only match what you think is the emotion of the character, but also trying to honor the emotion that you're hearing from the original actor. Do you know what I mean? Sure. Like
that's interesting.
Like you're not trying to do a 1-for-1. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not going to sound exactly like the other actress because we're two different people. Right. And then B, like I'm not trying to copy her. This is still my own performance, but her performance has to, this is my approach to it. Her performance has to inform mine because it's already there. And I want to use all the information I have at my disposal.
I'm super curious then. I mean, I don't know that, I'm not that well versed or know much about the Japanese language, especially hearing it.
Sure.
Do you have to get some, do you have to do some research on intonation and any sort of like a vocal range and intention of what you're hearing to kind of know where the intention is, or does it translate well from Japanese to English? I'm thinking of like, maybe I'm thinking of Chinese specifically, and I know that that's
because they have
that all of the I just
tones.
don't know that much about the Japanese spoken language, whether that's something that you need to have that understanding.
Sure. Well, I mean not yes and no. In the Japanese language, there's like they don't typically do like stressed syllables the way we do. So like that's just listening for that. So everything is going to sound different because they don't have to honor the stress syllable of every word that comes, through their mouth the way we do in English. So the way they deliver a word can be different.
To unstress something or to stress something, a syllable that shouldn't be stressed or unstressed sort of throws everything off, and that's not an issue when trying to interpret intention in spoken Japanese.
Not as much. I mean, it's honestly, you're like, as far as tone, you're kind of just listening. Like the tone is informing the emotion. It's not so much as like in Chinese, there is actual like specific like tones will inform like what the actual word is.
Right.
That's not exactly like what you hear in Japanese. So like a lot of, for me, is just like hearing it and like processing the emotion of what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
And then trying to reinterpret that. Now, how do I say that in English?
Right.
Because someone in Japanese, when they do like their like fight line, they might be able to go like this, like what you hear is something like da 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 da. But if you're saying a word that has the stress syllable on the second of 4 syllables, you can't do the exact same like cadence, exact same run up. And so just from a really weird technical point of view, like it's just a lot of like, well, here's how I would do it. Does this sound right?
You have to, I mean, what I hear you saying is that you want to, like you said earlier, that you want to honor their performance, but not sort of mimic their execution of the line.
Yes, because you can't. Because if you tried to mimic the execution of the line in English, you would sound insane.
And you'd be out of work.
Yeah, and you would be out of work.
So how does I'm just going to jump right into Genshin Impact.
Please do.
How many hours, I guess, of dialogue do you record for that?
For that game, oh shoot, I'm on a different computer, so I don't even have my scripts on this computer. Gosh.
Well, around numbers.
Sure. I mean, like I would do this mostly in 4-hour sessions, and I think I had 4 or 5 or 6. I mean, I probably worked like a solid like 15, 20 some hours on that game. I'm gonna keep
so like are you record, because I mean I've watched it but I haven't listened to a lot of it because my daughters usually have headphones on when they're playing it. So I know that they're do you record like say like 100 lines or 100 expressions, or
I had hundreds of lines.
Okay.
Right. because my character, and specifically because my character was featured fairly prominently in.
But yeah, she's the new hype.
She's the new hype. She featured fairly prominently in the storyline of this new update. These new updates that came out, the last 2 updates. So you had stuff of her that's in the story, and then I also had to do stuff for her that's as the playable character, because she became a playable character. So I had to do a whole set of like battle dialogue, and efforts, and all that stuff. And then also in Genshin Impact, there's this like fun section where like in the character screen you can see like this set of like voiceover dialogue that gets played randomly throughout the game as your character is like running around the world doing stuff. So I had to do all that set too. And then there's another set. This game has so many like interesting like side things that you can do. Like there's a teapot thing that you can set up, and you can like put your characters in the teapot to hang out in the teapot. And if you put my character in the teapot, depending on where you are in the game, like how far through the story you are, you will hear different things. And also depending on how much you use her, that's the other thing. If you keep using a character so long, you unlock certain things for them. And so then you'll also hear more things from my character. My character also is unique in that there's kind of like two sides to her, to not go into spoiler territory.
Sure.
Ooh.
So there's like aspects of her that are that I had to record separately that are very interesting.
That the world doesn't know about yet?
No, most people do know about it, but like, you know, I don't want to like spoil it for anyone if they haven't yet played through the whole thing.
We're just trying to get you to break an NDA.
I know, you know, I can't. I'm so sorry. I cannot break NDAs.
Yeah, we have a hard rule in my house: no spoilers.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
That's very good.
It's
People
tough.
love to just sabotage people's experience by
Oh
saying,
my goodness. I was streaming last night. So I also, concurrent with all this Genshin Impact stuff, I started a Twitch channel. And I've been streaming, playing through all this content, and also,
really?
Yeah, and I've also been streaming as I like roll for my own character.
nice.
So you broadcast, you stream on Twitch,
Yes.
playing your character.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
Well,
my
Do your
mind just
videos
went-
stay up? Because I want to watch them.
oh
Like, how
yeah. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Anne Yatco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, and well, I mean, you're gonna spoil yourself on the story because I played through the story last night, and I kid you not, some little jerk in my chat like spoiled the next part of the story right as I was about to get to it, and I was like, dude, I haven't played through it. Don't spoil it for me.
He spoiled it for the person that did the voiceover of the game that you're currently
on.
playing.
That's
So rude.
That
that's
sucks.
rude.
So then
Did
we
you
had to
kick him out of the chat?
I think someone kicked him out of the chat, or we just threw it to emotes only chat, so then no one could say anything unless they were a mod.
Oh, gotcha.
So do you have somebody moderating your
I
feed?
currently have two wonderful mods. They are super helpful. Jasmine and Kamori. I love them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. I can't wait to watch you play you.
I actually
You're playing-
haven't done a whole lot of playing as me because I am currently building my character.
Okay.
So I have to level her up so that she can play at the level that all the rest of the world is in my game. So like all the enemies are at like, I don't know, 75, 80, something like that. And currently Red and Shogun in my group is like 65. I think that's the level I have her at. So
Okay.
So
she wouldn't make it.
it seems like to me from the outside that this is a really good gig.
It's a cool gig. I love it. And I can't believe that I'm very blessed. And I cannot believe that I get to do the thing that I love the most, which is A, acting, and B, like getting to do these like outlandish characters that I would never be able to get to do on camera. Not that I don't like doing like acting on camera, but I get to play roles that I would never be considered for on camera.
Right.
Well, and you can do it from the comfort of your own home.
And I can do it from the
pandemic.
comfort of my own home during the pandemic.
Like that's pretty pandemic proof work.
Yes. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Do you think that is there a desire or a craving to go back to studios? I mean, for this kind of work, because I mean, I've been in the booth before, and it's really nice to get to go in and have that experience. But I feel like, have we all learned that have studios learned or production companies learned that that's just too expensive? We can get somebody a decent mic at their house and put them in their closet. Do you think it'll come back to more in person?
No, it is going back to more in person, because here's the thing. Not every voice actor who has like a nice microphone and a nice preamp. Okay. Not every voice actor has a good microphone and preamp and sound treated space. Like those are three very important things, right? And then even then, not every voice actor who has that is a great engineer for themselves.
Right.
Like I will tell you, I'm not the best engineer for myself at all. I try to like ride my game, but I'm gonna mess up all the time. And being able to go into a studio and have someone think about that for you, and then to know that you are recording on like a very good microphone with a good setup and a definitely much more sound treated space than I have at my house. That makes me feel so much better. I'm glad that we can do what we do as much as we can during the pandemic from home. Like I'm blessed that I can do that. But when the few times that I have been able to go into the studio, I've really relished it because it takes the weight off of me.
Yeah, you get to just kind of show up and be the talent and do the work and not have to worry about all the other technical stuff.
Yeah, like one time I was recording on my end a backup. So a lot of remote recording is done on different programs. A very popular one is called Source Connect, which allows you to connect with their studio, and they can record on their end through that connection, rather than you recording on your end and then sending it to them.
Right.
But sometimes they'll ask me to record on my end as well, a backup. And one time I recorded the backup and then I stupidly saved it as an MP3 instead of a WAV file.
Whoops.
And I was like, oh no, have I messed this up? And they're like, oh no, it's fine. We have the master. Just send it. It doesn't matter. I'm like, okay, great. But like that kind of thing, like I would die if I messed that up.
Right. And it's better to be surrounded by the pros that know how to do that technical work so that you can just have to worry about that.
My very first session in the pandemic was a commercial, and it was my first time using Source Connect, and the program wouldn't work for me properly. Like I couldn't figure it out. And it was driving me up a wall. And then like I had to call my husband to like, from the living room to help me figure it out. But like we ended up having to like pull out a second computer and like mount the software onto the second computer and then like, do all this stuff just to do like a 30-second commercial. And I was like, this is insane.
If this is how it's going to be, I need to find something else.
Yeah. But luckily I made it work. I figured it out, and now I know how to use Source Connect much better. Oh.
Nice. So what are you doing right now? Like, what are you working on now that you can talk about?
So let's see. I've long since finished recording for Genshin. I'm currently recording a couple of anime shows. One is called To Your Eternity, and that's on Crunchyroll, and it's an excellent show. It's very like, it's got a lot of like heart and like philosophy behind it. The logline is like this like kind of alien being creates an orb and sends it to Earth to learn. And the way it learns is it comes in contact with things. And when it experiences some sort of trauma or loss, it learns and it can take on that form.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like the show is very much about loss and
right.
This,
loss and grief and
loss and
trauma.
grief. Yeah. But it's a beautiful show. And I'm really lucky to play a character in it. I'm this little girl named Tonari, and she's a little shit.
Cool.
And then I'm also on this other show called I'm Standing on a Million Lives. That's also on Crunchyroll. And I played a couple of like side characters on that, which is cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I'm just really proud of you, and I'm really stoked for you. Like,
oh my gosh, thank you, Joel.
It's like, it's one of those things where it's so beautiful to watch friends of yours succeed and like find this cool career, and I just couldn't be more happy for you. Like, I am just so proud. Like I think back to like, Fran's acting class or Heather's yoga class.
Heather's yoga class.
And just like, commiserating with you and
yes.
and walking around the halls of CalArts, and I'm just it's an honor to get to see you really take off. Like you're in this really electric moment, and I'm really stoked for you.
Thank you. I am riding this wave. I'm riding this wave with
you're riding the gain.
Yep. Holding on for dear life, you guys.
It sounds to me like you're killing it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
You really are. And we're very proud of you. We're getting close to our hour-ish mark. We try to keep it close to that, but before we do that, I always like questions. I got the lightning round. Sorry.
All right, let's do it.
I'm always curious about what our guests are listening to currently. Like, what are you taking in? Now, I think in the past I've kind of limited it to music, but I I realized that if somebody were to ask me what I'm listening to, it would be an audiobook, a podcast, some music, some things on the radio. Like, what do you take in between your ears? Like, what are you listening to right now?
Oh, yeah. So what am I listening to right now? I'm trying to work my way through Deanna's podcast currently.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got to check hers out. Yeah.
Periodic Talks, it's really fun. And like, I think she and Gillian Jacobs have like such wonderful banter, and like the topics are so interesting.
Yeah.
And they fill my nerd heart with glee.
What's the title of that again?
Periodic Talks.
Okay.
Periodic Talks.
Periodic Talks. All right.
And then honestly, like I've been just anytime I'm looking for music, I usually just put on a K-pop station for comfort.
It's your guilty pleasure.
It's my guilty pleasure. Just some light K-pop.
Nice.
My oldest daughter is all about BTS right now.
Oh, BTS. Oh yeah, they're great.
Butter. It's all butter all the time.
It's a really good song.
It's a great song, actually. Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know much about K-pop, to be honest.
It's real fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah,
here we go.
It's cool.
I guess I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
What are you reading? What are your all times, or like what are you taking in right now that's like really blowing your mind?
Let's see. What have I read? There's this manga that I need to reread it because I just got some new volumes in, but there's this really beautiful manga that I read recently called Witch Hat Atelier. And like it's the author's name is, I'm gonna butcher it. I think shoot. Let me look it up right now as I'm talking about. I'm going to describe it to you. So Witch Hat Atelier is about this like little girl who just desperately wants to become a witch. And she finds like this like magic book, and she accidentally like she tries to make a spell and something terrible happens. And now she has to like go fix it. And now she's forced to become a witch, basically. And she like kind of gets dumped into this world of like magic, but like the line art is gorgeous. It's everything is drawn so preciously, and the detail is outstanding. It's written by Kamome Shirahama, and just if you like manga that's like just really beautiful to look at like that, I would highly recommend it.
Cool. Thank you.
And like the little like world of magic that they're creating, I'm only a couple of volumes in, is like really neat and really interesting.
I can't wait. Thank you for like sharing some cool stuff that a world that I don't know a lot about, and I'm excited to check it out. And I highly take your recommendations, Anne Yatco.
Oh, thank you.
It's been a genuine delight meeting you, and best of luck to you in your blooming career.
Thank you so much.
How do people find you, Anne? Like, what are your socials? How can people connect with you?
Yes, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and Twitch. I use the exact same handle in all these places. Anne J Yatco, ANNEJYATCO.
You see, Joel, that's how you do that.
I know, Steve.
We struggle in the branding department a little bit.
Because when I set up the Instagram before we even recorded one episode, so the title is a little different. But now they won't let you change it, and there's too many letters. I actually tried to. I accidentally hooked up the show's podcast handle to my personal Facebook, and it was wonky. I need a manager.
We need help.
We need help.
Oh no.
It's good to be in the presence of such a pro, and where all of your handles are streamlined together. So
thank you. Honestly, it was because I didn't want to have to think that hard about it, and now it has paid off.
Efficiency.
Yeah, right?
It works.
Yep. It works.
And thank you so much for being on the pod with us. What a joy. I'm just like beaming. I'm just like, it's so cool to get to connect with you again, and I'm really proud of you. And all the best.
Gosh, thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Sam.
To the man now.